My name is Lloyd Morgan. I want to thank Senator Brannigan, Representative Perry, and the whole committee for the opportunity to talk here. Human studies on the risk of brain tumors from cell phone use, whether funded by the cell phone industry or independent, always finds a risk for more than 10 years of use. As would be expected, the younger a child, when cell phone use begins, the higher the risk. For example, when the first use of a cell phone begins as teenagers or preteens, there is a 420% increased risk of brain tumors. This is brief, is what the science says about human beings. What does the science say about animals and cell phone radiation? Animal studies show that a 2-hour exposure to cell phone radiation, brain cells have double DNA breaks. Other animal studies show after a 2-hour cell phone radiation exposure, dead neurons in the brain resulting from the leakage of the protective blood-brain barrier, result of the cell phone radiation. That's what it says about animals. So what does it say about human cells? Human connective tissue cells, called fibroblasts, exposed to cell phone radiation shows mutated DNA. And the amount of mutation is higher in the new generations of cell phones that are used to surf the internet. This in brief is what it says about human cells. With human beings, animals, and human cells, each showing dramatic health risk. What more is needed before we are warned about cell phones? So what will industry tell you? The cell phone industry will tell you the weight of the evidence shows there are no problems for the cell phone. The most egregious example of this is a study, a Danish cohort study, which finds statistically significant protection from multiple cancers. A long list from brain tumors to all cancers to kidney, pancreas, lung, and so on. The same with neurological diseases, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's, etc. That's a sign that the study is completely flawed. Anytime you find protection, unless you believe putting a radio transmitter upside your head is protective, it's a sign the study is flawed. They never report it as that. They say there's no risk, but they find statistically significant protection. The cell phone industry will tell you this, that the studies must be wrong because there is no known mechanism to explain what these findings are. What they don't tell you is there's no known mechanism for smoking and lung cancer. This industry soundbite assumes every mechanism is already known. If this were true, why have science? The cell phone industry will tell you that if cell phones were causing brain tumors with so many people using cell phones, there should be an increase in brain tumor incidence. But there is no increase in brain tumor incidence for the whole population. What they don't tell you, and they know, is that there's a 30-year latency time. So the real question you want to ask is how many people were using cell phones 30 years ago? For those who would like to review the science behind this, what I've told you here are published in science papers. You will now hear from Professors Om Gandhi, Dr. Franz Edelkopper, Professor Martin Blank, and Professor and Dean David Carpenter on this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Could you tell us your background? Were you presenting this as an expert?
Yes.
Just two of the reps.
I'm an electronic engineer. I'm retired. In 1995, I went to lunch with a colleague. I had a 45-minute grand mal brain seizure, which was a diagnosis for brain tumor. The first thing I did, this is 15 years ago, was I asked my neurosurgeon, why did I get this thing? He said, perhaps electromagnetic fields. 15 years ago. I went to the science. I found that, in fact, the electrical utility industry was showing statistically significant risk for brain tumors and leukemia. I began to go to science meetings ever since. I have published several papers in epidemiology, and I think I've read every single cell phone epi paper written of any sort.
Okay. Are we really dealing with a much bigger issue here of electromagnetic concern?
I believe we are, but the key here is that cell phones are the most incredible exposure by many thousands fold compared to anything else we can expose ourselves to. And the wonderful thing is, just keep it away. If you hold it 6 inches away, that's about 100 times. That's about 100 times further than holding it against your ear. 100 squared is 10,000. 6 inches away, 10,000-fold less radiation to your head, but only if people know, which is why we have to have a warning label. And the children are more at risk than adults, but we're all at risk.
And I would like to know if you have other experts coming along.
Yes,
On
we
either
do.
side, do they know about the Cochrane Library, and Cochrane Group in England, and do they have anything from them?